this demonstration. Shocking news. President Joe Biden refers to the Vice President Kamala Harris as Vice President Trump. Yes, you heard that right. Also, Democrat lawmaker Perez refers to Biden that he needs to resign. It's getting deeper and deeper as the days go on. But before we get started, let me read my disclaimer and I will salute, and we're going to jump into this demonstration. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Everything that you hear in this demonstration, everything that you hear in this video that I call a demonstration is allegedly. It's all allegedly. Let me salute, and then we're going to jump straight into this. Salute Nola. Salute Nola. Appreciate the super chat, Nola. I appreciate that super chat, Nola. Dana J. Salute Dana J. Appreciate you for pulling up. And Dana J did say it. I told y'all. Salute Marie. Salute Marie. Appreciate you for pulling up. I want to salute my replay gang. I want to let my replay gang know how much I appreciate y'all. I want to salute all my moderators. I want to salute all content creators such as Dana J and other content creators that come and pull up on my platform. I want to salute you, him, and her. I want to salute all of my new subscribers. We have reached 8,000 subscribers, y'all. So in less than a month, I'm going to give it a good 30 days, we've reached 3,000 new subscribers. So I got to salute all of my new subscribers. A big shout out to everyone that have subscribed to the channel from all over the world. Salute Positive Vibes. I see you down there. Salute Positive Vibes. Now, what is going on? Because as the days go on, we see behavior, we see the president, and it's like each day is getting worse and worse. When you're the president of the United States, and if you don't know who your vice president is, that says a lot. If you're the president of the United States, and if you refer to your vice president as your op, as your arch enemy, as the man, the person that you're telling everybody not to vote for, you refer to your vice president as Vice President Trump. Something is definitely wrong. Now, Democrat lawmaker Perez, along with George Clooney and a whole host of others, have just said, look, we got to nip this in the bud. Enough is enough. Biden, you need to resign. Now, does that make Joe Biden, does that make him a bad person? No, not by a long shot. And in my opinion, it doesn't even make him a bad president. However, if he stays in office and if his administration, if those around him, because remember, Trump caught the same kind of slack with the people that were around him. Remember, everybody was always questioning him, the people that was around Trump. Why is the people in his circle, why are they allowing him to do the things that he's doing? So are we going to get the same kickback with the people that surrounded Biden? Listen to the Biden administration. Listen, you all got the right idea. You all got the right idea. To the Democrats, it's no disrespect. I don't want y'all to feel, because that's the problem. The problem is the Democrats, they see the situation that Biden is in. But before, or instead of them throwing in the white towel and saying, look, we're going to have to sit him down, instead of them throwing in the white towel, they're doing what? They're in their feelings. They're so caught up on what Trump is going to say. They're so caught up on what the Republicans are going to say if they make him resign. But guess what? Guess what? The Republicans, Trump, and everybody else, they're talking regardless. It's like you got an opportunity. You got an opportunity to move forward, right? But you're so concerned about what your friends is going to say about you. It's peer pressure. Salute positive vibes. I see you, positive vibes. It's peer pressure. And I gave this demonstration a few demonstrations ago. And I always talk about peer pressure. I always talk about the get along, go along, get along game. So is this what we're faced with? Is Biden and his circle, are they faced with peer pressure? Is it okay to let this man crash out? Because that's all he's doing. That's all he's doing. He's crashing out. Now, if he suffers from dementia, which I believe so, and I know most of you believe that he's suffering from dementia, then it's not his fault. It's not his fault. You cannot fault him if he's suffering from dementia. You got to fault those that are around him. Dana J says they are mad. They mad this mega wave is coming. Salute, Mung. Salute, Mung. Yes. And the mega wave is coming. And the cold thing about it, Dana J and everybody else, the reason why the mega wave is going to slide in, the reason why Trump is going to slide in, because nobody wants to sit Joe Biden down. Nobody wants to keep it real with Joe Biden. The Democrats are in their feelings. The Democrats are in their feelings. They refuse to do what's right, because they, in their mind, they think that's going to give Trump the upper hand. Trump already got the upper hand, y'all. For the last 4 or 5 demonstrations, I've let y'all listen to the legal experts. And all of the legal experts are saying the same thing. Trump is leading. He's leading Biden. It's no way in the world. I'm telling y'all, they couldn't even cheat Trump out of this election, even if they tried. It's no way in the world that Biden is going to beat Trump. And y'all question me. And y'all wonder why the old man is going to vote for Trump. That's why I'm rocking the orange. Y'all remember the other demonstration, I rocked the red shirt in honor of Sexy Red. Well, this demonstration, I'm rocking the orange in honor of Donald Trump. Because if somebody else don't run against Trump besides Joe Biden, Trump wins it by about that much. He's in there. But enough of me for right now. I want to go to some clips. I want to go to Perez. I also want to go to Biden. He said it himself. he referred to Kamala as Vice President Trump. But we're going to kick things off with the man of the hour, Donald Trump. We're also going to not kick things off, but we're also going to listen to the lady of the hour, Kamala Harris. My perspective on things, Trump is the man of the hour. Kamala Harris is the lady of the hour. Those two are the best candidates right now for the presidency. But let's jump into Trump. And this is because the last demonstration we tapped into the debate between Trump and Hillary, and I wasn't able to finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this demonstration off with Trump and Hillary's debate. And then we'll tap into Perez as well as Biden referring to Kamala Harris as Vice President Trump. So let's just start this off with the debate between, salute Sages. Let's start this off with the debate between Trump and Hillary.
Their system is so slow. It's catastrophic in certain ways. But she wants to go to single payer, which means the government basically rules everything. Hillary Clinton has been after this for years. Obamacare was the first step. Obamacare is a total disaster. And not only are your rates going up by numbers that nobody's ever believed, but your deductibles are going up. So that unless you get hit by a truck, you're never going to be able to use it.
Mr. Trump,
it is a disastrous plan, and it has to be repealed and replaced.
Secretary Clinton, let me follow up with you. Your husband called Obamacare, quote, the craziest thing in the world, saying that small business owners are getting killed as premiums double, coverage is cut in half. Was he mistaken, or was his mistake simply telling the truth?
No, I mean, he clarified what he meant, and it's very clear. Look, we are in a situation in our country where if we were to start all over again, we might come up with a different system. But we have an employer-based system. That's where the vast majority of people get their health care. And the Affordable Care Act was meant to try to fill the gap between people who were too poor and couldn't put together any resources to afford health care, namely people on Medicaid. Obviously Medicare, which is a single-payer system, which takes care of our elderly and does a great job doing it, by the way. And then all the people who were employed, but people who were working but didn't have the money to afford insurance and didn't have anybody, an employer or anybody else to help them. That was the slot that the Obamacare approach was to take. And like I say, 20 million people now have health insurance. So if we just rip it up and throw it away, what Donald's not telling you is we just turn it back to the insurance companies the way it used to be. And that means the insurance companies get to do pretty much whatever they want, including saying, look, I'm sorry, you've got diabetes, you had cancer, your child has asthma.
Your time is up.
You may not be able to have insurance because you can't afford it. So let's fix what's broken about it, but let's not throw it away and give it all back to the insurance companies.
Let me follow up with you, Mr.
That's not going to work.
Mr. Trump, let me follow up on
I
this.
just wanted one thing. First of all, Hillary, everything's broken about it, everything. Number two, Bernie Sanders said that Hillary Clinton has very bad judgment. This is a perfect example of it, trying to save Obamacare, which is...
You said you want to end Obamacare. You said you want to end Obamacare. You've also said you want to make coverage accessible for people with pre-existing conditions. How do you force insurance companies to do that if you're no longer mandating that everyone get insurance?
You're going to have plans.
What does that mean?
Well, I'll tell you what it means. You're going to have plans that are so good because we're going to have so much competition in the insurance industry. Once we break out the lines and allow the competition to come.
Are you going to have a mandate that Americans have to have health insurance?
President Obama, by keeping those lines, the boundary lines around each state, and it was almost gone until just very toward the end of the passage of Obamacare, which, by the way, was a fraud. You know that, because Jonathan Gruber, the architect of Obamacare, he said it was a great lie. It was a big lie. President Obama said you keep your doctor, you keep your plan. The whole thing was a fraud, and it doesn't work. But when we get rid of those lines, you have competition, and we will be able to keep pre-existing. We'll also be able to help people that can't get don't have money because we are going to have people protected. And Republicans feel this way, believe it or not, and strongly this way. We're going to block grant into the states. We're going to block grant into Medicaid into
Thank you,
the
Mr.
states
Trump.
so that we will be able to take care of people without the necessary funds to take care of themselves.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
We now go to Gorba Hamid with a question for both candidates.
Hi. There are 3.3 million Muslims in the United States, and I'm one of them. You've mentioned working with Muslim nations, but with Islamophobia on the rise, how will you help people like me deal with the consequences of being labeled as a threat to the country after the election is over?
Mr. Trump, you're
I think this is a good question for my Muslim side of the family, for everyone that practice Islam. I think this is a good question. Let's listen, y'all, to their answers.
first.
Well, you're right about Islamophobia, and that's a shame. But one thing we have to do is we have to make sure that, because there is a problem. I mean, whether we like it or not, and we can be very politically correct, but whether we like it or not, there is a problem. And we have to be sure that Muslims come in and report when they see something going on. When they see hatred going on, they have to report it. As an example, in San Bernardino.
How do y'all feel about that? Drop a 1 if y'all agree with Donald Trump. Muslims that are in this country, for my Muslim Americans, how do y'all feel? Do y'all agree with Trump? If you see something, if a Muslim sees something, should they report it? Are they obligated to report it? How do y'all feel about Trump making that statement? And I'll backtrack it for y'all to hear it again. Drop a 1 if y'all are in agreement with what Trump says about the Muslims. If they see something, they should report it. All right?
Because there is a problem. I mean, whether we like it or not, and we can be very politically correct, but whether we like it or not, there is a problem. And we have to be sure that Muslims come in and report when they see something going on. When they see hatred going on, they have to report it. As an example, in San Bernardino, many people saw the bombs all over the apartment of the 2 people that killed 14 and wounded many, many people. Horribly wounded. They'll never be the same. Muslims have to report the problems when they see them. And, you know, there's always a reason for everything. If they don't do that, it's a very difficult situation for our country. Because you look at Orlando, and you look at San Bernardino, and you look at the World Trade Center, go outside, you look at Paris, look at that horrible, these are radical Islamic terrorists. And she won't even mention the word, and nor will President Obama. He won't use the term radical Islamic terrorism. Now, to solve a problem, you have to be able to state what the problem is, or at least say the name. She won't say the name, and President Obama won't say the name, but the name is there. It's radical Islamic terror.
Stop right there. Salute OG Patrice. Salute OG Patrice. I'm with you, Sages. He's right. He's really right. Let's backtrack it for those that didn't catch it. He's talking about the radical Muslims. And just like in Christianity, and just like in any organization, whether it's religion, any kind of brotherhood or sisterhood, you're going to always have different sets. You're going to have different sets no matter what brotherhood or sisterhood you come across.
She won't say the name, and President Obama won't say the name, but the name is there. It's radical Islamic terror. And before you solve it...
How do y'all feel about the radical Islamic terrorists?
You have to say the name.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, thank you for asking your question. And I've heard this question from a lot of Muslim Americans across our country. Because, unfortunately, there's been a lot of very divisive, dark things said about Muslims. And even someone like Captain Khan, the young man who sacrificed himself defending our country in the United States Army, has been subject to attack by Donald. I want to say just a couple of things. First, we've had Muslims in America since George Washington. And we've had many successful Muslims. We just lost a particularly well-known one with Muhammad Ali. My vision of America is an America where everyone has a place. If you're willing to work hard, you do your part, you contribute to the community. That's what America is. That's what we want America to be for our children and our grandchildren. It's also very short-sighted and even dangerous to be engaging in the kind of demagogic rhetoric that Donald has about Muslims. We need American Muslims to be part of our eyes and ears on our front lines. I've worked with a lot of different Muslim groups around.
I believe that Trump said the same thing that Hillary just said. You all correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that that's the same thing Trump said. She just used different words, but I do believe she's just really saying the same thing that Trump said. So to say or go against what Trump said, I think is wrong, because you're saying the same thing that Trump said. You're just using different words. Let's backtrack it.
And children. It's also very short-sighted and even dangerous to be engaging in the kind of demagogic rhetoric that Donald has about Muslims. We need American Muslims to be part of our eyes and ears on our front.
That's what Trump just said, y'all. If y'all missed it, watch it on the replay. Trump said that for the Muslims in this country, when they see hate, they need to report it. Salute John Q. Appreciate you for pulling up, John Q. Salute John Q.
Lines. I've worked with a lot of different Muslim groups around America. I've met with a lot of them, and I've heard how important it is for them to feel that they are wanted and included and part of our country, part of our homeland security, and that's what I want to see. It's also important, I intend to defeat ISIS, to do so in a coalition with majority Muslim nations. Right now, a lot of those nations are hearing what Donald says and wondering, why should we cooperate with the Americans? And this is a gift to ISIS and the terrorists, violent jihadist terrorists. We are not at war with Islam. And it is a mistake, and it plays into the hands of the terrorists to act as though we are. So I want a country where citizens like you and your family are just as welcome as anyone else.
Thank you, Secretary Clinton.
Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Drop a 1 if you all agree with what Trump said. Drop a 2 if you all agree with what Hillary said. Drop a 3 if you agree with both. Me, like I said, she's just co-signing what Trump said. She just used different words. So I believe that what they both said, I agree with what they both said. Like I said, Hillary pretty much said the same thing that Trump said. She just used different words. They both came to the conclusion, and both of their answers was, for any Muslims that's in America, if they witness any hate, if they see anything that's hateful, then they should report it. And I do agree with that. And that's not just only for Muslims, but the question was asked by a young lady that's a Muslim. She asked the question referring to Muslims. So that's why it was only catered to Muslims. So I don't want Muslims to feel offended and feel like that they're picking on Muslims. No, that wasn't the case. It was a Muslim woman that asked the question referring to Muslims. Salute, Zena. We're going to Perez. We're going to go to Democrat lawmaker Perez, and we're going to see why. What is it that she see in Biden? Why is she asking for Biden to resign? And y'all know how I do. I go into the actual shocking part of it. Because as I state before, when you hear something, it's like watching your favorite movie. Most of the times you miss something out of your favorite movie. So when you hear something, most of the time you miss the shocking part of it, because you're not really zooming in And that's what my job is. My job is to bring you all shocking news, not new news, not breaking news, but my job is to bring the shocking part out of the news. Watch this, y'all. We're going to go to Perez. And she has a lot to say about Biden. And she's a Democrat. She's a Democrat. Salute, Johnny. I see y'all. Salute, White Collar. I see y'all. Shank, so gifted when it comes to these things. Deep explanation. Appreciate that, Sages. Appreciate that, Sages. Shank, would you really vote for Kamala and why? White Collar, I will vote for Kamala, but it's going to depend on if she runs, and it will depend on the debate between her and Trump. And that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on a presidential debate between Vice President Harris and Trump. And depending on that debate, is going to determine on who I vote for. I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. All right, let's see what we got. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Salute John Q. John Q says 183 people. That's right. Get my likes up. And make sure y'all subscribe to John Q. All right, let's start here. Because not only is Perez asking for him to resign, there are other Democrats. And it's not just one, two, or three. It's a whole line, a whole list of Democrats that's asking for Biden to resign. So let's check some of this out, y'all.
Here today, and there was a big one coming out of Texas as this morning Texas Representative Lloyd Doggett called on Biden to step aside as the Democratic nominee for president. Doggett is the first Democrat to publicly call for Biden to step down. And we want to continue to break this down and really talk about this big moment. So let's bring in our next guest here of this hour. We are now joined by Texas Tribune politics reporter Matthew Choi. Thanks so much for being here on this really big day as we are seeing and the continued fallout from that debate performance. Matthew, what can you tell us here about the representative today?
First of all, thanks so much for having me. I mean, Congressman Doggett kind of broke the dam by having this announcement today, saying that he was calling on President Biden to withdraw. I spoke with him on the phone. He said the reason why he issued this statement is because he was really distressed by the president's performance during the debate, and he felt that this was too important of an election to have a candidate who he does not have 100% confidence in. That said, this congressman is somebody who has supported the president in the past. He is not running in a particularly competitive district, so he insists that this really is something coming from his own heart.
And I want to talk a little bit more about that, because what you said off the top there, I think a lot of people are really feeling this as well, especially in politics, about the dam breaking there for Joe Biden. It's the very start here. We got one representative, a Democrat here. Do we think now, from this one, do you think we'll get a kind of trickle effect and maybe even a snowball effect?
I mean, that remains to be seen. I mean, it's clear to see that there's a lot of members keeping their powder dry. A lot of members have been declining to comment, or in public or in private rather, they've been saying that they found the debate performance to pretty disappointing. So I wouldn't be surprised if other members come out of the woodwork and say, yeah, I think we need to find a new nominee.
How do y'all feel? Drop a 1. Drop a 1 if y'all feel like the Democrat Party needs to find a new running mate. Drop a 2 if you still feel as though President Joe Biden is capable of being the president. Drop a 2 if you feel like Biden is capable of continuing to be the president as well as win the 2024 election.
And as we go into the summer months here, we are getting closer to the Democratic National Convention. Just if the Democrats want to make a move, when does it need to happen? Or is it already too late there, as so many people have already put their votes in the primaries to select Biden to be the nominee?
I mean, a lot of it depends on what President Biden wants to do. If he does withdraw, then it will be an open convention in Chicago in August. And that could be quite chaotic, considering the fact that there's no real immediate successor that the party has rallied around behind.
Yeah, that's so true. And, as we continue to talk about this big issue, have you heard from any other Democrats right now that are thinking the same things but haven't said it publicly yet?
Well, everybody is pretty clear in saying that they were very disappointed with the performance. Some of the most notable members, however, have really kind of kept their quiet on this race, particularly in Texas.
John Q says Biden needs to step down. He has obvious health issues that's concerning to his own party even. It should concern everyone in regards to our well-being here in the U.S., and that's in John Q's opinion. And that's my opinion as well, John Q, and I believe 9 out of 10 feel the same way. It's not that we're saying that Biden is a bad president. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying because of health issues. That's all we're saying. He has health issues. That is going to get in the way of him doing another 4 years in the White House.
Congressman Colin Allred, who's running to unseat Senator Ted Cruz this year, it's probably the highest profile election in the state other than the presidential. He notably declined to comment when we reached out to him about this.
Yeah. I mean, this is really just fascinating, given this whole political climate and really this race. I mean, on one hand, you have Donald Trump that is going through all the motions, really, with all of his legal cases. And then on the other side of it, you have Joe Biden, where now the age issue is really becoming apparent and continuing to be talked about during this debate performance.
And that's what everybody is saying. On one hand, you got Trump with his legal woes. Then on the other hand, you have Biden with his health issues. What do we do? What do we do? Do we elect Donald Trump? You know, Donald Trump has more than just his legal woes, it's his character. And that's part of the issues that I have with Trump. I do believe that Trump made a good president. And I believe that Trump could go even further as a president if he sharpens up his character. Character is everything about an individual. I don't care, woman, man, child. I don't care race, religion, creed, or color. I don't care where they were born at. I don't care rich or poor or even middle class. Character, your character tells everybody who you are. Now, just like I can't take another 4 years of Biden in office with his health issues, I cannot take another 4 years of Trump in his character. The attacking women. And even though he made the apology and he said, he wasn't, meaning nothing harmful by it, he was just, typical men talk. You're the president of the United States of America. Now, this is what I think of the president of the United States of America. When it comes to being the president of any corporation, and we all know that America is a corporation, but the president of any corporation, his character, her character should be up to par. The bar for the character of a president of any corporation is this high. My perspective, Donald Trump character, the 4 years he was in office, this is the bar for your character. My perspective, Donald Trump's character was here. So I don't want to have to deal with either one of their woes. I don't want to have to deal with it because it reflects the people. It reflects the rest of the world. So that's something that we have to take in consideration. Now I'm going to speak on the woman of the hour when it comes to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, she has character. The bar is here. Now, do I believe or what I say that Kamala's character is here? I would give her character about there. Just as well as Trump needs to work on his character, I strongly feel as though Kamala needs to work on her character. I feel like she needs to sharpen up on her character. How do y'all feel? Drop a 1. Because y'all might not feel that way. Salute 80s, baby. Salute 80s, baby. Drop a 1 if you feel like both Kamala and Trump needs to sharpen up their character. Drop a 2 if you feel like there's nothing wrong with neither one of their character. Y'all let me know. John Q says, remember, 2, he is in control of our nation's security as a country that holds nuclear weapons as its defense. Whether it's defensive or preemptive, I think I pronounced it right, is important. I agree. Salute G-Rock, GJ. GJ says, we got the dream team in the building. Salute GJ Rock and the dream team. Salute to Dana J and his dream team. GJ says, right on. I'm so tired of both of them and both parties. It's time for change. A new party because these two parties ain't it. Taraji dropped the 1. Salute, Taraji. Appreciate that. And I'm with you, GJ. And as American people, that should be the first when it comes to electing the president, when it comes to our votes, appreciate that, Christine, when it comes to the debates, when it comes to it all, the first thing when it comes to the president is their character. That was one of the issues, as I stated before, that was one of the issues that I had with Trump. No excuses. No excuses. And once again, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm not against Trump. It is what it is. I call a spade a spade. Donald Trump needs to work on his character. Kamala Harris needs to work on her character as well. But I do feel like Kamala's character is about here. I feel like Trump's is right there. So when it comes to character, I feel like Kamala is leading in that department. Now, whether or not she'll be as firm, and that's what I want to talk to y'all about before I continue. Now, when it comes to Trump, I do agree that Trump was definitely firm. And I do believe no matter man, woman, no matter what president gets in there, they have to be firm. I don't want no soft president. I don't want no weak president. The rest of the world knew not to play with none of our presidents. Clinton, Nixon, Carter, Bush, the father and the son, they knew not to play with them. Obama, they knew not to play with them. Trump, they knew not to play with Trump. I'll give Trump 3 points for being firm, standing on what he meant, saying what he meant and meant what he said. Let me jump to the chat. John Q says, they forgot about us, period. We can see it's about their party and the money they make from us. Taraji says, exactly. GJ says, both parties have been around for 400 years. And look at where we are at. We are all slaves with no shackles, rights slowly being taken away. Thanks, Bush. And it's getting worse. And I am in agreement with you, GJ. Both parties have been around 400 years. Y'all do know both parties were around when the melanated people that everybody called Black Americans, Negroes, African Americans, colored folks, and so forth, the melanated people, which is us, doing all of this, when it all originated, we were in shackles. We were slaves. Now, maybe y'all can help me understand, where do black people fit in this? Salute, Cotan. I see you, Cotan. Taraji says they need to up their game. Salute, McDonald boy. What team are you on, Trump or Biden? I'm not on either team. I'm not for Trump. I'm not against Trump. I'm not for Biden. I'm not against Biden. I'm for whoever it is that's going to become the president. I'm for them making this country a better country. Now, if you're just pulling up, I feel like Trump makes the better president than Biden. I felt like that probably for the last 8 months, maybe longer than that. Right now, if I had to cast my vote, I'm voting for Trump. And the reason why I'm voting for Trump, he makes a better president than Biden. Hands down, he does. Taraji says, my dad loves Trump, but I don't agree with him at all. GJ says, who outlawed homelessness, Republicans or Democrats? Good question. Can anybody answer that question? Christine says, that's no good. Can anybody answer GJ's question? Who outlawed homelessness, Republicans or Democrats? Christine says, we all weren't broke when Trump was president. Now, that's a fact. That's a fact. So we got to give Trump 3 points for that. Salute, beautiful. I see you, beautiful. Salute. Salute, Sharon. Salute. I see y'all. So you got to, and this is why I'm glad that I ride neutral. I'm glad that I'm not Republican nor Democrat, because in my opinion, when you're Democrat, of course, you're going to be in your feelings. It's easy for you to be in your feelings if you're a Democrat when it comes to Biden. If you're a Republican, it's easy for you to be in your feelings when it comes to Trump. But if you ride it neutral, you don't have to worry about choosing sides. When you're neutral, you're going to call a spade a spade. Look, if Trump is doing something he don't got no business doing, when you ride in neutral, you'll be able to call Trump out. Biden, if he doing something he don't supposed to be doing, it's easy for you to call him out. GJ says, no, that's not GJ. Oh, Black Lightning says, I feel like as long as racism and prejudice is still so heavy in this country, it's never going to change. The first things I heard out of your mouth was talking about skin color. Make it a bit hard. Well, Christine says, I'm just worried about losing my rights as a citizen. Me too, Christine. Well, here's the thing about race, okay? Here's the thing about black, white, Mexican. Here's the thing about color, all right? Until, and I want y'all to listen carefully, as much as we want to not make it about race, it is about race. Your application. What's on an application? When you go for a job, when you go to get an apartment, they might have changed these things now. But why is race? Why is color? Why is it on your application? So until they wipe out this whole race thing, until they stop having us separated, it's going to always be about race. It is what it is. Me as a melanated man, I know for a fact. I know. And I could give a demonstration on race. If y'all would like for me to give a demonstration on race, and I can break it down for you, and I could break it down for the lamest, elementaryest person that's in here. I could break it down for the most highly advanced, intelligent, educated person that's in here. It's about race. Because you got to remember why. First, let's start here, and then I got to move on because this demonstration is not about race. But why was black, colored folks, Negro, Afro-Americans, why were those titles put on us melanated people? Where did those titles come from? Why was it put on us if it's not about race? Why are European descendants? Why are Caucasians in this country? Why are they labeled white people? So before you can want us, or before we can move past color, before we can move past race, we all have to be considered Americans first. But that's not so. They don't consider melanated people. They don't consider us as Americans. That's why we don't have rights in this country. I got to move forward, y'all. I got to move forward. I want to go to the lady of the hour. Oh, matter of fact, I want to go to Kamala, y'all, the lady of the hour. I called Donald Trump the man of the hour. I called Kamala Harris the lady of the hour. I want to go to Kamala. All right, let's go to Kamala for a few. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Get my likes up.
If re-elected, he'll be a dictator on day one. So let us be clear. This represents an outright attack on our children, our families, and our future. If Trump gets the chance, he will sign a national abortion ban. But we are not going to let that happen. We know, women know what's in their own best interest and don't need their government telling them what to do with their body. As Trump bows down to dictators, he makes America weak. And that is disqualifying for someone who wants to be commander-in-chief of the United States of America.
That's right.
How do y'all feel, before I go to the legal experts, how do y'all feel about Kamala? I see you, Abdul. I see you, Abdul. Pablo says Kamala didn't do her job. I see you, Abdul. Salute, Abdul. Jenny says Trump said it's up to the states. Okay, let's tune into the legal experts.
President Joe Biden convenes world leaders this week for the NATO summit. Vice President Kamala Harris has been on the campaign trail, continuing to vigorously prosecute the case against Donald Trump, highlighting the stakes of this election in terms of whether or not we remain a democracy. Vice President Harris's campaign tour comes amid growing angst and chatter, even within the Biden campaign and allies themselves, about whether or not the vice president might be better equipped to prevail in November after President Joe Biden's performance in the first debate. New York Times out this afternoon with this reporting, quote, President Biden's campaign is quietly testing the strength of Vice President Kamala Harris against former President Trump in a head-to-head survey of voters. The survey, which is being conducted this week and was commissioned by the Biden campaign's analytics team, is believed to be the first time since the debate that Mr. Biden's aides have sought to measure how the vice president would fare at the top of the ticket. The results of that survey could determine whether Joe Biden remains at the top of the ticket. New York Times also reporting that a key group of advisors to the president believe that the strength of the vice president might sway his decision to stay in this race. Quote, a small group of Mr. Biden's advisors in the administration and the campaign have said they would have to convince the president of several things. They said they would have to make the case to the president, who remains convinced of the strength of his campaign, that he cannot win against former President Donald Trump. They have to persuade him.
Let me back. Okay,
To believe that another candidate, like Vice President Kamala Harris, could beat Mr. Trump. And they have to assure Mr. Biden that should he step aside, the process to choose another candidate would be orderly and not devolve into chaos in the Democratic Party.
So this is the New York Times, y'all. This is what the New York Times is saying about Biden. Some Biden advisors are discussing how to convince him to step aside. This is from the New York Times. Some Biden advisors are discussing how to convince him to step aside.
In a statement to the New York Times, the White House denied that there was an effort by members of President Biden's team to convince President Biden to exit the race. Joining our coverage, New York Times investigative reporter Mike Schmidt. His byline is on that New York Times reporting about what the president's advisors are discussing behind the scenes. And the president of the Reproductive Freedom for All, folks that we turn to all the time on all matters, is here with us, Mini Timaraju. Mike Schmidt, take me through what you and your colleagues are reporting in the story about the advisors, as well as the story about the president's own political operatives testing Vice President Harris head-to-head with Trump.
Well, what we're reporting is that there's a realization among some of these longtime Biden aides that he's going to have to exit the race, and that the biggest obstacle to that will be having to convince him to do that. And the story really encapsulates what the story of the moment is, which is essentially a standoff between Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party that is around the edges saying some things, but at the top of the party is not coming out and publicly forcefully asking him to get off the ticket, and the president's sort of digging his heels in even further. We report in the story that the president had said before the debate that he thought he had a far better chance of beating Trump than the vice president. This is a conviction that he has maintained in the aftermath of the debate. And
I want y'all to look at Joe Biden. I want y'all to look at Joe Biden. Now, when I show y'all Trump, when I show y'all Kamala, do y'all see the difference? This is Joe Biden.
And different from him, there's a realization amongst some aides that his candidacy is not going to work, that it is too far of an uphill battle, that he needs to step aside, and that they have to figure out a way to get him there and to convince him to do that.
And see, we see the same thing that they see. But for them, it's how can they convince him to step aside? Let me jump to the chat and read a few comments. Christine says, financially, this state cannot have any more babies. O'Black says, just as a man should have the right to not deal with the M of his unborn child. CQ says, dementia. Abdul says, I see the difference. Christine says, we can't afford to have babies in this state. Let me see if I can catch. GJ says, he doesn't look well. He doesn't look well at all, GJ. He doesn't. He doesn't. And that's what concerns me about Biden becoming, well, not becoming because he's already the president, but that's what concerns me about re-electing Biden is his health. When it comes to Trump, it's his character. I can't get past Trump's character, and I won't make no excuses. And I won't let none of y'all make no excuses for Trump's character. The same way I won't let nobody make excuses for Biden's health, I ain't letting nobody make no excuses for Trump's character. Trump has to change his character. He has to sharpen it up, honestly. Christine says, I had no choice but to have an abortion because I couldn't afford a third child. In my opinion, abortions, and this is just my opinion, in my opinion, abortions should be left up to the woman. Jenny says Trump is funny. Abdul says no hate to Biden, but he needs to go home with his family and rest like an old person. That's facts, Abdul. That's facts. Christine says now us women are screwed. I agree. GJ says I concur. His character, exactly. Turkey Leg says statistics don't lie. Everyone peaks at one point in their lifetime, and when they reach their prime, they slowly fall. They fall rapidly. True. You welcome, Christine. You welcome. Salute, Faye. Faye says right. And that's all we saying. When Obama was in office, salute John Q. Sorry about the cat. No problem. Shank, scroll up, read my other message. Pablo, put it in the super chat. Put it in the super chat. If you need a comment to be read, put it in the super chat. Purchase a super chat. You can get a super chat for as low as 99 cents because it's going to be hard for me to stroll all the way up with all the comments, Pablo. So for anybody that would like for me to read your comment, purchase a super chat. Appreciate that super chat, old black. Appreciate that super chat, old black. Appreciate that super chat, old black. If y'all got a comment, get a super chat. Support the channel and get a super chat. Appreciate that. I see you, Abdul. Biden. I'm coming, y'all. All right. I believe I found what I've been looking for. Texas girl, I see y'all. Salute, Texas girl. I believe I found what I've been looking for. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to break down. We're going to break down what we're about to witness Biden say out of his mouth, y'all. Are y'all ready for this? Now, this is definitely shocking news. Many of y'all have probably already heard it or saw it, but we're going to break it down. Let's listen, y'all.
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Are y'all listening? Listen, y'all.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President.
Did I hear what you all heard? He says, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump. Are y'all listening?
Ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President, but I think she's not qualified to be president.
Now, come on, people. Come on, people. Are y'all still going to vote for him? Seriously. If you still vote for him, you are really in your feelings. I'm going to run it back again. You can't make this ish up.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President, but I think she's not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president.
How can you be the most qualified person to run for president when you don't even know who your vice president is? You can't make this ish up.
I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual.
And let me say this for the umpteenth time. There are plenty of people. Are y'all listening? There are plenty of people that will make a better president than Donald Trump. However, Joe Biden is not one of them. And it is what it is. Plenty of people will make a better president than Trump. However, Joe Biden is not one of them.
And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving. And because, look, I got more work to do. We got more work to finish. There's so much, we made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million jobs. So things are moving. We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still large. The prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down. And so I'm optimistic about where things are going.
Hey,
let me ask y'all this. Do y'all feel sorry for him? Drop a 1. Drop a 1. Drop a 1. Do you feel sorry for Joe Biden? If you feel sorry for Joe Biden, drop a 1. Follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is ShankRock1218. Follow me on Instagram if y'all would like to speak with me, off of YouTube. My Instagram is ShankRock, ShankRock 1218. Follow me on Instagram if you would like to talk to me off of YouTube. I sometimes I feel sorry for him. I'm being honest. I got a soft spot. And I don't want y'all to take advantage of me either. But I got a soft spot for kids, babies, little kids. I got a soft spot for kids. I got a soft spot for the elderly. I got a soft spot for the veterans. I got a soft spot for the homeless. I got a soft spot. So I do got a soft spot for them, and that's why I'm saying, and I know the majority of the people, we're all saying, just step down. You're doing more damage by running. Even if you want to ride the next few months out. What he got? What he got? A couple months? What he got till January if he loses and everything? So he got about what, 5 months? Ride the 5 months out. All right, I give him that. If he want to ride his remaining 5 months out as the president, go ahead. However, step down. Do not run, because even if you win, it's no way in the world with what we've been witness from Biden, and this is for the Biden supporters. No shade, no disrespect for the Biden supporters. He cannot do another 4 years. He can't. He got health issues. So trying to get him to do another 4 years, he can't. Do I need to replay it? Do y'all want me to replay this again? Drop a 1 if y'all want me to replay it, so y'all can hear it again. Drop a 2 if y'all want me to move on. Drop a 1 if y'all want me to replay it. Drop a 2 if y'all want me to move on. Y'all want me to salute Miss Jams? I see. Let me run it back for Miss Jams and everybody else. Jonathan Blue, let me run it back. But it's no shade. Let's be grown. Jenny says, nah, Shank, move on. But let's just be grown. Let's get out of our feelings. It's nowhere in the world.
No summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president because I think she's not qualified to be president.
Yes, he said, I would not pick Vice President Trump. This is my last time running it, y'all. I got to run it back, though. I promise y'all, this is my last time running it. And I'm not even going to talk this time around. I'm just going to let it play. All right, y'all, watch.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president because I think she's not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving. And because, look, I got more work to do. We got more work to finish. There's so much, we made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million jobs. So things are moving. We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. The prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down, and so I'm optimistic about where things are going.
Wow. Wow. We gonna move on. We gonna move on. If you haven't had a chance to hear it, catch it on a replay. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him. And especially if he's suffering from dementia. I work with the elderly. I work with patients, and majority of them has dementia. They don't know where they're going. They can eat. The next 10 or 15 minutes later, you can ask them, how was lunch? And they'll refer, I didn't eat. I didn't eat yet. And 15 minutes ago, they had lunch or breakfast. So I work with people with dementia. I work with people with health issues. And, you know, I'm human. I'm human, y'all. I got a soft spot, you know, and it touches me. It touches me. So I feel sorry for him. I do. But we got to move on, everybody. We got to move on. We're gonna cover Nancy Pelosi. We're gonna move to that. Right, Miss James. Right. Drop a 1 if y'all are a big fan of Nancy Pelosi. Drop a 1. Drop a 1 if you are a big fans of Nancy Pelosi. Drop a 2 if you don't care too much for her. Drop a 1 if you are a Nancy Pelosi fan. Drop a 2 if you don't care too much for her.
Of California and the leader of the Democratic opposition of Belarus, Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. Of course, Svetlana fled Belarus in 2020 after running against authoritarian leader Alexander Lukashenko in the presidential election, and is widely thought to have won, despite Lukashenko declaring victory amid widespread reports of the election being rigged in his favor. Sound familiar? Svetlana and former Speaker Pelosi are the co-authors of a new op-ed in the Washington Post entitled "NATO is a Bulwark Against Tyranny." Thank you both very much for joining us. Speaker Pelosi, I want to start with you on President Biden first, because over the past 24 hours behind the scenes, there's been a lot of depression among Democrats, the phone lines burning up, concerned about his candidacy and whether or not he can win. And some even out loud are shaky at best about President Biden and whether or not he should step out of the race. The headlines, the polling, it all feels very dark. How do you think the president is doing in light of his poor debate performance? Can he do more? And what do you say to Democrats in Congress and even members of the Senate who are beginning to waver in their support?
Good morning, Mika. That's one version of the story. What I do want to say is that yesterday I was honored to be present at the president's speech at NATO. He was absolutely spectacular. He was received.
Come on, Nancy. Come on, Nancy. You can't make this ish up. Listen to Nancy, y'all. I almost don't even want to play it, but let's listen to the cap. Listen.
Yesterday, I was honored to be present at the president's speech at NATO. He was absolutely spectacular. He was received over and over again with ovations for what he had to say and the force with which he said it. And then he gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Jens Stoltenberg, the Secretary General of NATO. I felt very honored by that because, as one who has received it, Jens getting it brought luster to that honor. So it was a beautifully received, energetic presentation by the president. Politics is politics. People have their interest in terms of their own region and the rest. And so we are the Democratic Party, a party that is, shall we say, not lockstep. But this president has been a great president. And I can tell you firsthand, as a person who orchestrated many of the pieces of legislation, that the president takes great pride in, and he should, because he was there at the table, chapter and verse, very conversant, with a vision, a purpose, with the knowledge of the issues, with values underlining it all, and again, always asking the question, what does this mean to working families in our country?
Drop a one if y'all think she's full of ish. Drop a 1 if y'all think she's full of ish. Drop a 2 if y'all think that we should get rid of these old politicians and bring in the young minds. Drop a 3 if you don't know what to believe. Drop a 1 if you think she's full of ish. Drop a 2 if you think we need to get rid of these old politicians and bring in the new, young brains and minds. Drop a 3 if you don't know what to believe or think.
So any thought that he wasn't able to deliver on all of those is, I can just say, just didn't happen.
So, Madam Speaker, you just went through the president's record, but let me ask you about the current moment. Does he have your support to be the head of the Democratic ticket?
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short. I think overwhelming support of the caucus. It's not for me to say. I'm not the head of the caucus anymore, but he's beloved. He is respected. And people want him to make that decision, not me.
He has made the decision. He has said firmly this week, he is going to run. Do you want him to run?
I want him to do whatever he decides to do.
That's not the answer. Let's backtrack. Please, Nancy, answer the question, which she's not, but we could clearly see how she dodged the question. That's not the question that he asked you.
He has said he has made the decision. He has said firmly this week, he is going to run. Do you want him to run?
I want him to do whatever he decides to do.
Listen up. So I got...
In my opinion, I'm going to drop a 1 with the rest of y'all. I think she's full of ish. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. You have the opportunity to let them know at least. But we heard her say she's with whatever decision he makes. But he's not in that kind of good health to make that decision. We see it. I fought Nancy Pelosi. I fought those that are around him and knows that he is not in the best of health. I fought them. But let's move on, y'all. Let's move on. Because it's up to Biden. Jenny says because it's up to Biden. Mellon says long as they keep your cash in their pockets. Marty says she just can't bite that bullet, can she? It seems like she can't bite that bullet. She is a dodger extraordinaire. I mean, it's right there. It's like you at the club, and this is what this puts me in the mind of. You at a club, and your friend had too much to drink. Now, what do you do in a situation when you're out with your friend and your friend has too much to drink, but you continue to let your friend keep drinking? You also let your friend drive drunk. You just sent your friend on a crash out mission. So if you're for Biden, if you're Biden's friend, take the keys away. This is the same situation. Ms. Jan said, stop drinking and take them home. This is the situation with Nancy. This is the situation with Biden. You got to take it from him. You got to. You can't say, oh, well, I told him, it's up to him. I'm going to ride with it. No. That's not what you do in a situation like this. That's when you tell him, look, it's time for you to resign. He might be asking her. What do you think? In some cases, situations like that do occur. Your friend or your loved one will ask you, what do you think? But you got to keep it real with that friend. You got to keep it real with that loved one, even if it hurt their feelings, because believe it or not, it really won't hurt their feelings. I learned this in life. If a person asks you to make a decision for them, no matter what decision you make, you're not going to hurt their feelings. However, depending on what decision you make, you can cost them their life or you could cost them their freedom. So don't worry about, quote unquote, hurting your friend's feelings, especially if they asking you. And Biden probably asked her, what do you think? Do you think that I should resign? Do you think I should step down? That's when you go and you say, yeah, I think you should step down. Sometimes, and I want y'all to listen, sometimes we do have to make decisions for our friends. We do have to make decisions for our loved ones. If we really care about our loved ones, if we really care about our friends. But let's move on, y'all. Let's move on. I'm coming, y'all. All right. Let me know what y'all think of this. All right, let's go to Democrat lawmaker Perez.
Statement that highly suggests that Biden step aside from seeking re-election, but that statement does not outright use those words. Her spokesperson said this wasn't a political decision, but more of a governing decision. They said for the good of the people. Here's what she had to say. I've spent the past 2 weeks listening to my constituents express their concerns about the president's age and health. Like most people I represent in Southwest Washington, I doubt the president's judgment about his health, his fitness to do the job, and whether he is the one making important decisions about our country rather than unelected advisors. She goes on to say, Americans deserve to feel their president is fit enough to do the job. The crisis of confidence in the president's leadership needs to come to an end. Finally saying the president should do what he knows is right for the country and put the national interest first. Losing Camp Perez joins a growing list of Democrats calling on President Biden to withdraw from the race, although she is the first to take it a step further and suggest he also resign from office before his term ends. Yesterday, Oregon Congressman Earl Blumenauer released his own statement on Biden to withdraw from the race, saying it was time for him to step aside as a matter of protecting democracy. KGW News spoke with a politics professor about the historical nature of all of this.
This is all uncharted water. The closest we've seen is in 1972, a vice presidential candidate was nominated and then withdrew the next day, and then another vice presidential nomination came to before the convention as the convention was going on. This is very different from that scenario, so I have no predictions whatsoever, but what this has successfully done is it has changed the Biden campaign, which was to focus on Trump and what they called the threat to democracy.
More than a dozen Democratic members of Congress have called on Biden to drop out, which he has repeatedly said he would not do, even doubling down on that notion at his press conference that ended a short time ago. Now, we've reached out to all Oregon's Democratic delegations. Senator Wyden supports Biden remaining in the race. Senator Merkley was non-committal on the issue, and Congresswoman Bonamici suggested she was still making up her mind. Representatives Hoyle and Salinas did not return our emails. Now, just a short time after that press conference ended with Biden, a congressman from Connecticut came out saying he also wanted Biden to not seek the election. So that list continues to grow. Back to you.
Now, if all of these people are saying that they don't want Biden, that he shouldn't continue to run, what's the issue? Somebody let me know. What's so hard about that? What is so hard? And maybe y'all can help me understand. But what is so hard about getting him to resign? I mean, somebody tell me, who should make the decision? Should it be Kamala? Should it be his vice president? Pablo says the Vanguard. Should it be the vice president to make the decision? Should the vice president? Now, I disagree with Kamala about that because she's saying that, and she be defending him. Now, I disagree with her about that. Jenny says the Democrats are trying to push him out, but who else to the Democrats have? And do you know how long the voting process takes? I'm not sure of that, but me personally, I want to see Kamala run against him. What has she got to lose? Marty says, maybe I'm thinking it's more like a cartel of Dems. Because let's just be honest. If Kamala don't run, be honest now, if Kamala don't run and Biden run, we know the outcome of that. So what do Kamala have to lose if she run? She ain't got nothing to lose. Jenny says hers can't make him step down. But can she get in his ear? Can she advise him? Let me use a more political correct word. Can she advise him? At least. Pablo says, Marty, you're right. Jenny says the voting process, the vetting do you mean the vetting process or the voting process? I'm not sure, Jenny. Marty says, save us from hers. Let her run. Marty, let her run. Let Kamala run. Appreciate that, Johnny. Appreciate that, Johnny. Let her run. What does she got to lose? I mean, seriously, y'all. What does she got to lose? Vetting.
Most of my initiatives reduce
I'm
greenhouse gases.
not sure of that process, Jenny. Look up Harris' birth certificate. I'm not sure of that process, Jenny. But what does she got to lose? What did Trump say to black Americans? Trump said, black Americans, what do you got to lose? It's like, and I felt that. When Trump said that, I felt it. I was like, he right. And I got called all kind of Uncle Toms. I got called all kind of sellouts. Jenny says, it's a long process. Ms. Jam says, I wish Michelle Obama would save us. Michelle would be a good candidate. She would. I think Michelle would be a better candidate to run against him than Kamala. Marty says what they're really saying is they don't want to lose. Like I said, when Trump made that comment, black Americans, what do you got to lose? And I was like, yeah, that's my man. I got called all kind of names, Uncle Tom, sellout. You should have heard it. Yeah. Jenny says Michelle won't run. Marty says Michelle is busy. $65 million for her and Barry's books. She got paid off of them books. She came up. She came up. She got paid. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Marty says it should be the president unless Congress acts. Pablo says Michelle has. I can't let that ride, Pablo. Why do y'all feel Michelle was born a man? And somebody help me understand that. I still believe that she's a woman, but I keep hearing people, and people been saying it for the longest time, that she was born a man. Jenny says, why wouldn't you vote Republican? What has Biden done to make our lives better? Melvin says, best of luck. God only knows. Pablo says 10-4. I'm not voting for Biden. I'm letting y'all know now. I'm not voting for Biden. I won't vote. I won't. Jenny says she's a woman. That's what I thought. Marty says no, but the party does. Now, if Kamala runs, if Michelle runs, who knows? But if it's Biden and Trump, oh, I'm voting for Trump. That's why the book was titled Becoming a Woman. She was by your man. Jenny says, what has the party done? Marty says, oh my God, no, thank you. Hustle Top says, so women can lead the military now. It's crazy. Tara says, Michelle has strong, aggressive face. No offense. Michael Lavin Robinson. Jennifer says, Kamala was born in Northern California. Her dad is from Jamaica. Her mom was a foreign dignitary, and I believe her mom was Canadian. Both parents needs to be born in the U.S. Naz T says 25th Amendment. Marty says stop. It's not what she has to lose. It's what the party will lose. Drop a 1 if y'all will vote for Michelle. Where my Michelle Obama supporters at? Stacy says galore 2024. Jenny says inflation was 1.2%. It's now at 19.6%. Kevin says, I'm not voting Biden, but if Trump keeps saying the vaccines work, I'm done with him too. Marty says, you're not a sellout. You're a man who thinks. That's what I thought, that I was a man that thinks. Miss Jams dropped the 1. 80s babies dropped the 1. Y'all ready to go to the man of the hour? Heard William Mount talk about the select committee of 8. She dropped the 0. Let's go to the man of the hour, y'all. Donald Trump.
Joining us, Philip Rucker, Washington Post national editor and MSNBC political analyst, co-author of A Very Stable Genius and I Alone Can Fix It, and wanted to...
What do y'all think? I alone can fix it. What do y'all think? What are y'all thoughts?
Tolliver, host of Crooked Media's What a Day podcast, also an MSNBC political analyst. So, Juanita, Biden's gaffes are not new, and this is what Matt Weiser reminded us of last night when he was following the press conference. In 2008, Biden introduced Obama as Barack America. He told the state senator, who was paraplegic, "Stand up, Chuck, let them see you." And he touted a three-letter word, jobs, J-O-B-S. In 2010, he called Obama the first African-American in the history of the United States. Is this different, so different that he shouldn't run? Or is there something else at work here?
No, this is 30 or 40 years of Joe Biden being Joe Biden. And I also think that I'm so grateful that Peter Alexander was able to shout that question to him before he left the stage. Because what Joe Biden did in that moment was he explicitly drew a contrast between him and a minor mix-up and the guy who's down at Mar-a-Lago literally meeting with Putin-aligned Viktor Orban, right? Like, that contrast is where Joe Biden wants attention. And I think there's an opportunity for more of that. But these flubs, these gaffes, that's just who Biden is. I do think, though, with the continued pressure, it's going to be interesting to see if those increase or stay level and stay minor as he has continued. He's going to continue on the campaign trail. As he said, he's got to keep going and get out there. Like, he's got to be in Michigan today. We also know he's addressing members of Congress later today and calls with the Hispanic caucus, as well as that sit down with Lester Holt that'll be airing on Monday. So it's a question of, does that continue or does it continue to level out? Because I don't see that as a major disruption, especially when he stood up there for 59 minutes and took unscripted questions from 10 reporters impeccably and substantively at a level that Donald Trump could never.
So even if you accept that, Philippe, there are the times when he does seem to be staring off, perhaps unfocused. There are times when his sentences kind of just trail off or are a little confusing. It's understandable that his supporters are frustrated because Donald Trump does the same, and in their mind, even worse. But why has this taken hold the way it has, and what does he do about it, Philippe?
Well, I think he needs to relentlessly do what I'm going to relentlessly got to do. He's got to keep coming back and say, look, I'm not running against the world record, thespian. I'm not running against the Guinness Book of Memorization. I'm running against a guy who has waged a war against the English language for decades. I, at least when I do it, am making a good point and know of what I'm talking about. I mean, this isn't, we talk about, oh my God, what is he going to say? Oh my God, what he said. The totality of that press conference is pretty remarkable. I mean, if you want to look at the two of them, and to my point about taking medical tests, could Donald Trump have stood there for nearly an hour and said even 10% of that, even understood what he was talking about? Yes, I understand the color of it, and I got upset with friends who were furiously blowing up my phone with, oh my God, he said Putin instead of Zelensky, or Trump instead of Harris. But you know what? It's not a problem if you accidentally say Trump. It's a problem if you actually think that Trump is your VP. Now, it would have been nice to back to the other point about helping Joe Biden, and the reason that voters can't get past this is partly because no one's helping him get past it. If some of these members or Democratic leaders who were saying Joe really needs to think about stepping aside, it would be great to see a tweet from them saying, you know what, I have my concerns, but come on, people, that is ridiculous. I do this for a living, and I muff words all the time. 99% of what that guy did last night was incredible, and Donald Trump couldn't do anything like that. He stood in NATO, he defended NATO.
Who y'all voting for? Trump? Biden?
You talk about how important it is. NATO under Trump would be, just a pile of Jenga letters.
So Philip Rucker, as I mentioned, Donald Trump is no stranger to gaffes himself. You literally wrote a book about it in some ways. He's mixed up Obama's name for Biden's, Hungary's leader for the leader of Turkey, and he confused Nancy Haley with Nikki Haley, with Nancy Pelosi. Let me just play a couple of examples.
Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down. Putin, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word, Viktor Orban. Did anyone ever hear of him? He's probably like one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world. And he's the leader of, right? He's the leader of Turkey.
So I think we've all talked about our phones blowing up, and one of the questions that I keep getting is from Democrats. Why does Joe Biden not get away with it? Donald Trump constantly gets away with it, and much worse. How does Donald Trump not seem to pay a price for those kinds of things that we just heard? And it's very different. It is very different for Joe Biden.
What are y'all thoughts about that? And I think it's an interesting question. How does Trump get away with calling people the wrong name and things of that nature, but Joe can't get away with it? Y'all answer me down there in the chat. How is it fair that Trump could get away with it? Let's backtrack it. How can Trump get away with it, but Biden can't?
Is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down. Putin, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word, Viktor Orban. Did anyone ever hear of him? He's probably like one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world. And he's the leader of, right? He's the leader of Turkey.
So I think we've all talked about our phones blowing up, and one of the questions that I keep getting is from Democrats. Why does Joe Biden not get away with it? Donald Trump constantly gets away with it, and much worse. How does Donald Trump not seem to pay a price for those kinds of things that we just heard? And it's very different. It is very different for Joe Biden.
Yeah, well, Chris, it is a different situation for both of them, but I would just challenge the notion that Trump doesn't get away with it. He's described regularly in the Washington Post and lots of other news organizations for his rambling speeches, for his non sequiturs, for, some nonsensical arguments that he makes at news conferences, at his rallies on the regular. And, voters decided 4 years ago they didn't want that anymore in their president. So, there is some price that he's paid for his own, problems with oratory and sort of, direct communication. That being said, it's a different situation since the debate because...
Texas Girl says, I don't think it's fair for anyone to call someone names that aren't their actual name.
Biden was in front of 50 million Americans watching on television and had clearly struggles and challenges in that debate, both parrying some of the attacks and questions with Trump and then the lapses and moments where he was really showing his age. And so that's why this is such an acute crisis for Biden and for his administration at this moment. But it's very difficult to equate the two because it's not like Trump is the perfect orator. He has all sorts of problems in his own delivery, and that has been noted in the media over the years, and I think a lot of voters are aware of that.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen...
What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts? Texas Girl says, because name calling is so childish. Jenny says, who cares? Johnny says, debate was horrible. They didn't answer any questions and kept attacking each other. Yeah, I did notice that, Johnny. Like, they just kept attacking each other. As a rehab therapist, Trump is not suffering dementia. Marty says, but then again, I like Trump because he talks like a human being and a regular citizen. I said it and I'll say it again. I just don't like his character. And, he said that, he was just joking and, just clowning around, but still. Now, one of the things with Trump, and I want us to spend these last minutes chopping it up about Project 2025. And then I'll let everybody get out of here, okay? But I want to talk about Project 2025. How do y'all feel about Project 2025? Let's go to some legal experts. Let's spend these last minutes on this demonstration chopping it up about Project 2025. Y'all let me know down there in the chat and on the replay, what are y'all thoughts?
Vision of implementing a startlingly authoritarian form of the U.S. government. It's 900 pages long. You can Google it right now and read it. It's chock full of wildly unpopular policy proposals. You got everything from using a 19th century obscenity law to shut down all medication abortion and also maybe the mailing of all birth control, to outright outlawing pornography and throwing people in prison over it, to weaponizing the Department of Justice to be used explicitly as a kind of tool of vengeance for Donald Trump. Now, Republicans realize that Project 2025 and all these ideas are wildly unpopular, or at least they're beginning to, which is why today Donald Trump is desperate to try to separate himself from it all. Trump does not want people to know about the entire vanguard of extremist weirdos around him and what their little plans are for when he governs.
Salute, Mama Boo. Salute, Mama Boo. I see you, Mama Boo. Salute.
I have plans lying in plain sight. They are panicking in a comically preposterous and fraudulent way. Donald Trump posting today, I like this. He knows nothing about Project 2025 and has no idea who is behind it. Well, you can go to the website. It's got them all listed there. Here's the thing. The group behind it all is the Heritage Foundation. You see that their logo and the scrim behind him? We all know Trump spoke to them while he was president. And Paul Dans, a former senior aide in the Trump administration, is the director of Project 2025. Ken Cuccinelli, the Cooch, Trump's former acting deputy Homeland Security Secretary, who aggressively pushed anti-immigrant policies, wrote a chapter in the manifesto. John McEntee, Trump's one-time White House personnel director, a guy very close to him, around him all the time, is a senior advisor. He's been doing some vetting of a personnel database to see who they're going to staff the government with. So if Trump has no idea who is behind it, he is far too senile to be allowed to continue his campaign. Either that or he's lying. Amanda Marcotte is a senior politics writer at Salon, where she writes today, Project 2025 may be backfiring on Trump. Stuart Stevens worked as a political strategist on dozens of Republican campaigns. He's now senior advisor to the Lincoln Project, and they join me now. Amanda, why do you think it may be backfiring?
Well, I think that, first of all, they gave it like a weird, sinister name, right?
Yes.
Project 2025. And so I think the original goal was to sort of put it out there and hope that the MAGA shock troops could hear it, and then like progressives might hear it and get all freaked out, and then they could laugh at how they're sugaring the liberals. But I don't think they thought that like ordinary people that might be swing voters in this election would hear of it. But I don't think that that's true anymore. We're seeing some evidence that it's kind of breaking the blood-brain barrier and like getting on the radar of people that don't pay super close attention to politics.
I had a conversation with a guy the other day on the street, actually, who said, I've been checked out of politics for 4 or 5 years. What's been going on? Which was a great question. I was like, ooh, where do I start? And also said, his only question, Stuart, his only question was, what's this Project 2025 I keep hearing about? Which suggests to me that it has, to Amanda's point, it has taken on a kind of virality out past the sort of circle of people that are avid news consumers.
Yeah, look, this is the day after July 4th. If people don't know about Project 25 now, they're going to know come November, come people start voting. Part of what's happening here is there's a complete void of policy on the Republican side.
Yes, yeah.
What is it? So of course this is filling that. Here's a serious question. Is there any Republican running for re-election who is running an ad or talking about a bill that they actually voted for? I'm not aware of any. They're out there talking about stuff like J.D. Vance, about the benefits of the Infrastructure Act that he voted against. Mm-hmm. What did the Republicans accomplish that they're now saying, trust us, put us back, put us in power, give us more power? And
what did the Republicans accomplish? Good question. Good question, y'all. What did the Republicans accomplish to make them want to be back into power? Y'all will have to let me know down there in the chat. Republicans, any Republicans in the chat, what have the Republicans accomplished?
They voted against. What did the Republicans accomplish that they're now saying, trust us, put us back, put us in power, give us more power, and we'll deliver this? I don't know what this bargain is that they get. So you have Project 2025, which is basically an attack on the future. This is some sort of effort to turn the clock back, which is what the Trump candidacy is about. I mean, let's don't forget, Donald Trump is against mandatory school vaccines. Not for COVID, but for everything.
Yep.
So, I mean, there may be a bunch of people out there that miss polio and whooping cough and measles, but I don't think there's many of them.
This point about the sort of absence of a platform or policy agenda is so key. And I think, Amanda, there's a few things in operation here. One is this sort of authoritarian cult around Trump, whatever he wants. Famously in 2020, they just said, we're not doing a platform. But there's also some sort of feral intelligence to this, I think, from Trump's perspective, which is if you don't write anything down, then you don't have any positions, right?
Sandra, why do you stop saying President Biden should step down? Salute, Sandra Holman. But can you explain to everyone, why do you say that we should stop saying Biden should step down? Sandra Holman, please explain to us why we should no longer say Biden should step down.
So, I keep bringing this up, but what is Donald Trump's position on Gaza? It's very hard to say. He doesn't really write it down. They don't have policy papers. He did say in the debate he wants to let Israel finish the job.
Appreciate the super chat, Martin. Appreciate that super chat, Martin. Martin says Republican policies seem to be easier for lower class like myself. My life was better under Trump. I couldn't tell you why, it just was. Let me read Martin's super chat again. Appreciate the super chat, Martin. Martin says Republican policies seem to be easier for lower class like myself. My life was better under Trump. I couldn't tell you why, it just was. Appreciate that.
Those are his words. Don't know what that means. You can intuit. But this is an example, Amanda, to me, to Stuart's point, where it is all written down. And that's why it was such a tell to me for Trump to try to run away from it.
Wow. So, we do have a Biden supporter. I want to talk to you, Sandra. Because majority of Americans, even after talking with those that aren't Trump supporters, they referred to the same. They mentioned the same. Well, yeah, he did give out the stimulus. Well, yeah, the economy was fair. They wouldn't give him all his props and say that when Trump was in office, the economy was good, but they still would say it was fair. But most Americans do agree. Some say, well, when Trump was in office, he inherited the economy that Obama left. However, or whatever, or however you want to piece it together, it still was an economy that was good when Trump was in office. Sandra says, you people need to remember that life was cheaper before the pandemic. Then we had the pandemic. That's true. I'll say that. I'll say that. But was it? Now, where's my Trump supporters? Was the economy or was life cheaper before the pandemic? Where are my Trump supporters at? Do y'all feel as though life was cheaper, life was better for us before the pandemic? Jenny says yes. Wiley says no. Jetty says 100%. Pandemic. Pablo says yes. So we in the tug of war right now. Yes, no, maybe. Marty says, let's say it was cheaper before Fauci. I'm only going to hold y'all for 5 more minutes and then I'll let y'all get out of here. Sandra says, come on, it was the effing pandemic. It seemed grocery bills didn't go up that much until 2 years ago. Falsely for prison. Fraud. Sandra says, and agreed by corpse. Let me ask you this, Sandra. Is it anything that you were in agreement with Trump? That's for Sandra and all Biden supporters. For Sandra and all Biden supporters. Did Trump do anything that was good while he was in office? While he says, I voted Democratic all my life, never again. I see the difference. Sandra says no. Jenny says groceries are up 20%. Elite Gaming says, as Americans, we are all in this together. Don't let Democrats replace you. Sandra says no. I agree with you, Elite. I agree with you. We are all in this together. Trump unified millions of people and built hope. How do y'all feel? Do y'all feel like Trump unified millions of people? What are y'all thoughts on that? Trump had world peace and the Abraham Accords. Jenny says, be Pacific, Sandra. All your people here just want... We don't use profanity, Sandra. We don't use profanity, Sandra. Please refrain from the profanity. But your opinion and your perspective is welcome. Speak your mind, Sandra, but just please refrain from the profanity. Stimulus checks purposes was to index yourself into the new system. Reform a bit prison sentence. He legalized hemp. Yeah. How do y'all feel about the stimulus checks? Do y'all feel like Hustle Top? Hustle Top feels like the stimulus checks purpose was to index yourself into the new system. How do y'all feel about the stimulus checks? At Trump rallies where all ages and races excited together. I was at the last Trump rally that was in Rock Hill, South Carolina 3 months ago. I went to a Trump rally and I do agree. You know, everybody was excited. I know I was excited and I know Miss Parker was excited. Trump helped black colleges. Trump did a lot. I agree. And some people say, no, Shank, Trump only did what Obama was doing. Whether Obama started helping the historical black colleges or not, in my opinion, it doesn't matter who started it. It matters who all helped them. And when Trump was in office, he did give the historical black colleges, he did give them money. I mean, hey, we got to call a spade a spade. We spend $950 million on NATO security. Imagine if one president could create peace and bring that down, invest that back. Wasn't a fan of the stimulus check, so much money was lost. Lori says, wasn't a fan of the stimulus check, so much money was lost. Stimulus is the reason for inflation for the most part. Free money and greed leads. Trump is for we the people. Didn't take a dollar, not one. How's everyone? Salute J-Dub. Bet everyone spent their check. What new system? Find solutions if you're going to be just giving gripes. Vote for Trump and see what happens. You will regret it. Well, who should we vote for, Sandra? Who should we vote for? Do you still say vote for Biden? Who should we vote for, Sandra? Salute Marie. Marie says, Shank, question was the stimulus check was for the PPP loans. What will happen? Trump will stop death and destruction. I will vote for Trump, Yahoo. Biden and Harris. Harris, and this is my opinion, Sandra. Harris, yes. If Harris, if she runs against Trump, I'm 50-50. I'm borderline right now. And it's going to determine how the debate goes between Trump and Harris on which one I will vote for. If Harris runs It's going to be 50-50. And it's all going to boil down to the presidential debate. That's my take on it. If she is able to win, whoever wins the debate between Harris and Trump, that's who I'll vote for. Hands down. I can't win with you, Sandra, can I? No answer that I give you is correct with you, Sandra. No answer. You can post it, Hustle Top. You could post the website. You could post the website, Hustle Top. I don't have no problem with that. You could post the website. Hustle Top is getting ready to post a website. I wouldn't say she's stupid, Elite Gaming, but everybody has their opinion. Because she's been brainwashed. Trump does not need to be in any office. Jail is his place. Can't think for herself. Sandra is heated. Y'all hold tight for a minute. I'm going to go get a drink of water and I'm going to come back. Y'all hold tight. Martin says, vote Trump, no more war. Sandra says, I'm a middle-class working person who is highly educated. Sandra, you need help. And Biden does. Well, what is your solution? Lori says, what college did you go to, Sandra? What is your solution, Sandra? What is your solution? What is your solution? Because think bigger than your personal gripes. I mean, maybe it's something I'm missing. Now, when you have all these legal experts, minus us, the legal experts, George Clooney, the legal experts, the legal experts are saying that it's just best if Biden resigns. It's just best. Here's the legal experts. Listen to the legal experts, Sandra.
To make sure that there was distance between this and Trump. But like you said, there's so many staffing people in common with his first administration, and there's just so many connections. It's hard to run away from. But I also think, to the point about like kind of what like ordinary people that only half pay attention to politics, like they aren't going to be tuned into those kind of fine distinctions for exactly that reason. Right. They're not paying enough attention. They just hear the name.
From a purely political practitioner standpoint, Stuart, I thought Trump coming out to try to distance himself, and then a bunch of reporters writing it up as, Trump torches heritage, and Trump's campaign manager saying, if you poke the bear, you get bit. By the way, in the post, he says, I wish them all the luck, or whatever he said, like, go get them, boys. This, to me, is such a tell from a political standpoint that they are worried about this thing. They understand it's got traction.
Yeah, this is the policy equivalent of I didn't inhale. It's seen as sort of disingenuous and silly. The better policy would be for them to actually have something that they're running on themselves. But you know, the idea.
That's right. They could say, look, we're not doing Project 2025. Here's everything on the website of what we're going to do. But of course, there is no such thing.
Look, most of the time when you walk into a presidential campaign, there's a whole group of people over there. You're like, who are they? They're Supreme Court clerks. They're Rhodes Scholars. They're producing more paper than the Renaissance and these policy plans. That they don't have those people in the Trump campaign.
That's such a good point.
They ain't there. And, and they ain't there for a reason because Trump will never read this stuff and he doesn't care about policy. So, this is why this debate was such a lost opportunity for Donald Trump. He could have come out there and said, look, I've got these plans, roll out some sort of economic plan. He could have said, look, I've never been elected to office before. I learned a lot when I was president. I know it was a turbulent president. I'm going to be a better president next time.
Next demonstration, y'all, we will be chopping up Project 2025. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. I appreciate all my new subscribers. I appreciate everybody that purchased a super chat. I appreciate everybody that subscribed to the channel. I appreciate everybody that hit the like button. On tomorrow at 4 p.m., we will be discussing Project 2025. I hope to see all of y'all back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, where we will be discussing Project 2025. Salute everybody, and I'll see y'all tomorrow at 4 p.m. Salute, JB.